very possessive with, we don't have any more treats, any more toys in the yard because she becomes very obsessive with them. And then that will lead to a fight with the other dog.
For each of the fights, was there any kind of common denominator in the fights? Were they toys? Were they food? Were they attention?
Once was rib bones, beef rib bones. The next was Chewy's. Once was us dancing.
It seems like almost everything except for the last one has been some sort of resource guarding issue. So a dog has had a chew toy, a bone, something, one of the other dogs come up to it.
Exactly.
That's actually pretty normal in dogs, all breeds, but terriers in particular can be a little bit, tend to be a little bit dog aggressive and be a little bit more high-strung when it comes to those types of issues with other dogs. Does she ever try to guard anything from you? Like if she has a bone or anything and you go to take it?
No.
I have 2 dogs at home, and my 2 dogs get along great most of the time. But I would never just give them a bone, give each a bone and like let them outside together. So when I give them treats, it's separated. Your bed's over there, your bed's over there. When I'm feeding them, they get fed separately. One gets fed in his bowl, the other gets fed in the crate. And when I leave the house, even though they're male, female, they get along, they're separated. I have a baby gate and I have stairs, so they separate the houses. One dog stays in that part of the house and one dog stays there. So I had a lady that had corgis that she had their entire lives together, and they were the best of friends. And she always left them in the house together. And one day she came home and one of the corgis was dead.
No.
Because they had gotten into a fight over something. You know, do you have a crate?
No.
No.
A crate's a good thing to invest in because you can, if you introduce the crate properly and you just kind of leave the door open and put treats in there and whatever, it's a good place for one dog to go and like eat their bone, and you can close the door. I have even separate kennels for my dogs, indoor, outdoor. They're right next to one another. They can see one another. Like I said, my house has baby gates, so I can section off one area and put one dog there and there.
Do you have pit bulls?
I have pit bulls. Both of them are pit bulls.
Oh, really?
And
so it is possible.
when you're playing with them, it's probably best that you play with one at a time.
Okay.
Like if you're playing tug or you throw a ball, because what can happen is when dogs get really ramped up, which might have happened with the dancing.
Yeah.
And they can also start to guard people, like resource guarding. This is my person, and they get jealous. But when dogs get their excitability, energy level ramped up to here, they're in a heightened state. And just like kids, imagine kids are playing really hard, and then somebody gets an elbow somewhere, and then all of a sudden they're like fighting.
Yeah.
That happens with dogs. And a lot of times when they get really excited, and that's why I said when I come over, have the dog somewhere else. Because when new people come over and the dogs are all excited and you have them all jumping around, that excitement can sometimes be redirected to aggression.
Yeah.
And then they'll turn on one that's right next to them and a fight happens.
That was that one fight that happened when we were out in the back throwing
the ball.
They have the comp. And we were throwing it so they would run.
Yeah.
And a fight happened there.
So you can let them play together. You just have to be right there. You have to be watching to make sure, are the dogs really getting too ramped up? This is a can called Spray Shield.
Okay.
It is citronella based spray. It looks like pepper spray. It is not pepper spray. It's got 1% citronella.
Okay.
And it smells bad. Because if dogs get in little tips, you can squirt them in the face with this, in the muzzle. It's not going to sting, it's not going to hurt them. It's not pepper spray. It's because it's a really strong foamy spray and it smells bad, it surprises them.
Okay.
They go, what is that? You know?
So if they're in a heated fight, and I had that, I could spray it.
If they're in a heated fight, it may or may not work. But where it's really effective is when they're first getting into it. You know, unless it's like 0 to 60 and bam, but sometimes you'll start to see that little, you know, and they're not fully into it. And I'll go, hey, boom, you know, and I'll nail whichever dog's doing what. So, and it's also good for loose dogs. If you're out walking and you have a stray dog that comes running up to you.
We've got a few of those around here when we're walking.
You take it off 10 feet away, you can just boom. And again, remember, citronella does not hurt your dog at all. Try not to get it directly in their eyes. It's not going to blind them or anything, but it'll sting a little bit. And the bonus point, if you get a backdraft, which happens, you're fine, you know, so you're insect repellent, that's about all. This, do you know what this is?
For killing vampires.
That's what everybody says. you have a dog fight, what people tend to do, if you have two dogs that are really into it, and one is kind of latched on to another and you can't really get them apart, what people do is they grab a dog and they pull.
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And when you grab a dog and you pull, what happens is you generally cause more damage to the victim dog.
Yeah.
Because normally there's puncture usually, which are not good but okay, but then when you pull, you tear. And so with this, this is a break stick, and how it works is if my hand is the dog's jaw, and I'm latched onto something like this, you just slide it in the very back of the dog's mouth and twist. And when you twist, that releases their hold. It doesn't break their jaw or anything. It just means they can't physically bite down anymore, and then you can pull them out. Are you going to let me demonstrate on you?
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't hurt the dog at all. Come here, kiddo. Good girl. So it goes in the very back, and then you just twist. And that'll, boom, she'll be right off, and then you can pull her back.
Okay.
And if you don't have this handy, some people use a spaghetti spoon. Back of the spit, but it doesn't. The wedge shape is really good because you can slide it in the narrow part, and then you can twist it, and that'll just kind of force it a little bit open and block them from biting down. Because prevention, if you're good on the prevention, you won't get there, and the little tips that will inevitably happen can be easily broken up by or something like this.
Okay.
So hopefully you never get to the point where this is the only way to break up the fight, but have it around just in case. You know, keep a couple, you can hang it on the wall out there. And if you only need it once,
It's
you know,
well worth it.
it's well worth it. The other thing you can start to do is when dogs come in and they're being excited, if you can start to teach the she knows sit.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know sit? When they're coming in and they're being all excited, you make them each sit. And then one at a time, you know, when
She'll catch
they
it
sit.
for you too.
Boom, 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 you know?
Yeah.
You give them, and then you'll start to see that the dogs are coming in, and instead of being focused on one another, you're like, oh, okay,
Wait for
I'm
it.
sitting.
Yeah.
And you just have little containers around or something, cookie jar, something that goes with your decor, and you just lift it up and go, there you go. So that you want to, you know when those moments are where dogs are going to be really excited, you can try and focus on their commands, their obedience commands.
Get their attention somewhere.
And what I do is, I always give it first to the dog that sits first. Whoever does it first gets it first.
Right.
And you'll see that it'll become a competition with the dog. Boom, you know, sits first.
Which is good.
And so you can bring them in and we can see how they interact.
Be nice.
And then, very good.
Jay, come here.
And what I usually do is I reward.
Frank,
There you go.
get out.
And now you're going to jump over.
Hey.
Now when they start doing this,
Simmer down.
but when they start jumping like that, you know, that's when dogs get into jealousy
Hey,
issues.
get out.
And they start
Get
to
out.
get into it.
Yeah. Frankie,
Yeah, they're
hey.
getting too excited.
So, and that's why I have this handy in case one starts. Sit.
Just put that for.
Good girl. You're a very good girl. You didn't sit. Good boy. And see, I'm making them sit. She caught on pretty good.
Yeah, good. Food involved.
Sit.
Catch on.
Good girl. Good girl. And see, when I feed them, I put my hands apart this way so they're not looking at one another.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just simple things like that, like, you know, reinforce your commands, don't let them get too excited, interrupt it when they do. Remember, feed them separate, give them their toys and treats separate. If you play with them, try and play with them separately or make one wait.
Okay.
Or if you're gonna let them play tug of war or something and you think they can handle it, be right there and interrupt it as soon as it starts to get to be too much.
Right.
And when you are not here to supervise, do not leave them together, okay? But thank you so much for taking the time and trying to keep her, because like I said, pit bulls once in the shelters and in rescue, they generally don't have.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of them.